I'm Michelle Tay, the Director of Programs and Operations at the Singapore Kindness Movement. So we always tell people, you're not here to compete. If you're here to compete, it's against yourself. How do you make yourself better? And we can't stop it because, similar to the social media space out there, there will be keyboard warriors who are out there to get you. I think you can tell, when we look at facial expressions and through people's eyes, it's quite easy. To me, I feel, certain things you cannot really lie, right? And I think sometimes people just want a listening ear or some empathy, to share what they are facing through. Yes, so Courtesy campaign was the 1980s, and then after that it subsumed under the Kindness Movement in 1997. So back then I think it was more of a call of, it's not just basic courtesies that we want Singaporeans to think about. When then PM Goh Chok Tong launched the Kindness Movement, we want to look at broader values, not just basic courtesies. There are aspects of showing consideration, being other-centered, showing gratitude or appreciation to fellow Singaporeans. We are funded by MCCY, but we are a non-profit organisation with IPC status. I think it was initiated by LKY, Lee Kuan Yew, and then after that, Goh Chok Tong started Kindness Movement, but we always have an independent board or council. Genuinely kind. I think what we are looking for is really to be authentic in whatever that you do. At SKM, we really practice our core values. So we talk about SKM, which is S for synergy, K for kinship, and M for positive mindset. So we really, we are a small team of 20, and we really want to build this close-knit relationship with each other. We look at how we can synergize efforts across teams. Kinship is really important because, you spend most of your waking hours at work, right? So how do you foster this good relationship among the team members? And M is for positive mindset. I think that's the attitude that we want people to have. So, it also includes things like humility, It's okay to make mistakes and to admit it, right? Yeah, so that's what we're having to encourage everyone to adopt this learning and open mindset. So we have the education team, which really focuses on outreach to schools, ranging from preschools, your toddlers, to institutes of higher learning. And then we have the partnerships team, which works with the people, public and private sectors. So it could range from ground-up movements, social enterprises or private companies who want to champion kindness. And then we have the marketing, comms and strategy team. Marketing, strategy and comms really look at our main campaign of bringing out the message of SKM's narrative. So we're also on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn. To me, empowerment is something that is important because I believe that they are capable in their own space. And as a leader, you don't want to be hunching on their backs to tell them, oh, you should be doing this or you should be doing that. We need to also trust them in their space to say, okay, you are good at this, I'm leaving this to you, and I give you that autonomy or the power to shape certain things that you believe is in the right direction. Having trust within the team is important among your team members. So, there are dimensions of trust, like number one, you need to show that you care for them, right? Number two is telling them or sharing with them your vision of what you want to do, listening to them, and then show that you can do it, right? Because that's something that people look up towards you to do it. So if let's say I said, okay, I'm going to get this for you guys, let's work on this project together. And of course, whatever that you promise them, you have to deliver that promise to them. To me, one of the most rewarding one is really our National Kindness Award Transport. So what happens is that every year we actually have a full committee of all the public transport companies together with LTA, PTC and Traffic Police to come together to receive nominations of transport service staff who have been providing excellent service and kindness. So it could be your train managers, your bus captains, even your ticket counter officers, or even engineers in the transport industries. And last year was actually our biggest year where we recognized 1,008 transport staff winners. It's also a logistical nightmare because we have to read through over thousands of stories. Throughout, we probably spend more than a week, 2 weeks to read through, to sieve out the stories. We also depend on our partners like LTA to screen them. If let's say you are a driver, we need to make sure they have a clean record. We're trying to focus on the positive stories. There are kind people out there, and it doesn't take much for you to send a compliment letter, right? If you could send a complaint letter about something, why don't you give feedback about something positive? Yeah. So to us, every end of the year when we see these people winning the award, receiving a trophy from minister, they are so happy. Yeah, and that's something that we want to showcase. We have heard stories about cab drivers delivering a baby in their taxis, right? There was one story where this cab driver was driving and sending a lady who was on her way to Mandai to send off her late grandmother, throwing ashes off. He actually stayed there because it's quite ulu place and the lady probably can't drive out anyway. And he decided to waive the fee for her because he could sense her emotion that she was really upset and moaning. So in that sense, I think the passenger was very touched. Yeah. Another thing that really touched me was when I managed to speak to one of the taxi drivers, and he actually said, do you know there was one, some of them have rows of pins on their shirt, right? Sometimes you see in bus captains, they have medals there. There was one year where he didn't get. I said, oh, is there a blank space? Why is there a space there? He said, do you know that year I actually received demerit points for LTA because I was moving too fast at the school zone. So he was not safe. And he said, since then, I told myself I must be committed and to drive safely and courteously. So that struck to me. I was like, wow, do you know the power of our kindness awards? It actually impacted people to think about how they behave or how they want to perceive themselves to be a kind driver. Yes, so Singa and the Kindness Cubbies, we have this thing called Kindsville. So we produce Kindsville Times, which is the newsletters that goes out to all the schools quarterly, and then it accompanies with an animation. So the kids actually learn about different values of kindness, whether it's respect and then integrity and various values that we work in collaboration with the Ministry of Education. Nas Daily SKM, we try to be inclusive, right? Yeah. In fact, the whole team, we are really multicultural, multi-diverse. We try to encourage spaces for, our Muslim folks to even have a prayer room here. Oh, okay. We have a nursing room here also for mothers and things like that. Yeah, so I think in the corporate workplace, I think kindness is really important. And being kind to yourself, I think you need to learn how to be kind to yourself first, feed yourself well, have adequate rest before you can actually go to work. I think that's very important. A lot of people were watching Nas Daily, right? This video, okay. Yes, 1 minute, you can introduce this. And myself personally and my team were very enthusiastic. It's like, how can we get Nas Daily to champion kindness or to showcase that kindness lives in Singapore? So, sometimes I think we shouldn't hesitate too much when we want to do something. So I just wrote a simple email to say, hello dear Nas Daily, Nusa, we really want you to champion kindness. Could you help promote a video or do up a video of, kind acts in Singapore? We have so many ground-up movement doing this and that. And then the next day, actually, I received an email response back from his, business manager and said, yes, we are open to talk and share. Okay. And it was really fast and quick, right? And how do you respond to something that you really wanted, And then, true enough, he managed to come down and we did a 3-day shoot to cover or showcase our ground-up movements. People have been doing kind acts. And the video produced, He did it for a low bono fee for us. And that was something that, I didn't thought that I would have gotten it so easily or so fast. But I think it's also to believe in yourself that whatever that you are promoting is for the betterment of the self, for the good, right? And he was really a kind person to actually do it. it took us so many years just to encourage people to give up their seats on public transport, right? Back then there was storms, shaming behaviors on public transport. People give up their seats out of fear, right? But right now, if you look at it, if you take the public transport, people naturally give up their seats because they feel it's the right or the kind thing to do. I think what we're trying to do is to encourage good neighborliness, right? So if let's say, I think back then, long time ago, there was an incident about a neighbor upstairs having dripping laundry. Yes. We always have the laundry drips and then gets wet, right? So, people get irritated, and then the first thing you want to do is complain maybe to your MP or to whoever, and then you copy the kindness movement. So I think to us is, take the first step to know your neighbors better, which is about promoting good neighborliness. So this was actually a real incident. Actually, some of us went up to see the neighbor, and the neighbor was an old lady who was struggling to even wring her laundry dry, and there was dripping. So I think the downstairs, the man felt so paiseh, after complaining here and there. He actually goes up to offer the lady, "Hey, auntie, if you want me to help you, I can help you squeeze dry." In our stressful life, it's not easy to do. But actually make time for someone, whether it's a colleague, just sitting down and spending time with them, even if it's that 5 to 10 minute conversation, actually means a lot to them, right? So simple things like asking your colleague, "How are you?" They might be having a bad day, and this could actually have a kindness, we call it the ripple effect of kindness, right? He might pour out and share his thoughts with you. It might be a bad day, but just that little small act of, "How are you?" Have you eaten? In Singapore, local terms, you always say, "jiak ba bui," right? So if you could ask that even in your workplace, I think that means a lot to show that you actually care for someone who's in the same organization as you. I think number one is to manage expectations. As charity organizations, we can't afford high salaries. That's reality, right? But if you want a more fulfilling career, or if you want to think of, how can you improve the social good of our country or for the society, then of course, yes, please join. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a battle. Whatever that you do, just be a bit more other-centered, be a bit more empathetic. You never know what everyone's struggle is facing. So the best thing or simplest thing to do is to just be kind and be nice to that person. What we really want to encourage people is to start, show and share kindness. And the message of be greater is really to be a greater version of yourself. So wherever you are at today, know that you can be greater tomorrow.